Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Monday, the 15th day of September, 2025. And like we did yesterday, we're going to look at the latest stories in the fallout from this horrific event that still has us all reeling, the murder of Charlie Kirk. We're going to give you the latest on the investigation, and then a fabulous story about the tremendous outpouring, literally from around the world, the love and respect for Charlie. There's a lot to talk about. Let's get to them. First, from Breitbart, mourners from around the world show their love for Charlie Kirk. This is something that is so tremendous. And then two stories about the investigation. First, from Breitbart, the FBI is looking into individuals who appeared to know ahead of time about Charlie's assassination. And so we're going to give you the latest on that. And then Kash Patel, the leader of the FBI, confirms that DNA evidence matches the suspect in the Kirk assassination, and he reveals details of note. We'll look at that from the Epoch Times, and also from the Epoch Times, another fabulous story. Employees fired and suspended for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, as they should be. Again, this is unprecedented, but it's so great to hear that this is what employers are doing. All right, let's get to the headlines. First of all, mourners from around the world show their love for Charlie Kirk. It's a Breitbart. Vigils were held around the world for slain free speech advocate and Turning Point USA co-founder Charlie Kirk, offering a poignant demonstration that the power of his ideas reach far beyond America's borders and that good people around the world can unite in mourning for a young husband and father. Madrid, Spain's vigil for Charlie Kirk began within hours of his murder and grew steadily on Thursday with a rally outside the U.S. Embassy where the participants chanted Charlie's name, then observed a moment of silence in his memory. On Thursday, the conservative Vox Party, which is increasingly popular with Spanish youth, held a vigil and rallied with speakers from Europe and the United States, including Heritage founder President Kevin Roberts, who hailed Kirk as America's best and brightest young leader. In South Korea, conservative youth leaders established two memorials for Kirk, one in front of the statue of General Douglas MacArthur in Incheon, and the other in front of the Sunyamun Gate in Seoul. Kirk visited South Korea and Japan the week before he was murdered. He said of his time at the buildup of Korea 2025 Forum, I didn't even have to think about where I was going because everywhere I went, I knew it would be perfectly clean and safe. A lot of American cities are not like that. I can tell you that from firsthand knowledge. You could literally eat off the streets there in South Korea. Never seen a country like that anywhere so clean. All right. Also, a massive rally was held in Kirk's honor in London, organized by activist Tommy Robinson and the UK chapter of Kirk's Turning Point organization. Robinson claimed over 1 million gathered at the rally, while the Metropolitan Police estimated about 110,000 employees. In major media, only they really downplayed. Speaking of people coming out in the hundreds. Turning Point also organized another large rally in Sydney, Australia. The director, Joe Jamal, said plans were in the works for Kirk and his wife to visit Australia before he was assassinated. We're looking forward to bringing him out. We were looking forward to him bringing out on tour because he was widely admired for his Christian values, a family man winning a noble fight to reconnect with politics, Jamal said of Kirk. Jamal saluted Kirk as a great man and a personal inspiration when he spoke at the candlelight vigil. There will not be another man like Charlie Kirk, he declared. Several members of the fast-rising alternate for Germany, the AfD party, attended the Charlie Kirk vigil in Berlin, held in the spirit of freedom, patriotism, and justice outside the U.S. Embassy. One of the attendees was AfD lawmaker Beatrice von Storch, who has urged Pope Leo to consider canonizing Kirk. A joint vigil was held for Kirk and Charlotte train stabbing victim Irina Zarutska in Vienna, Austria on Friday. According to the vigil organizer Martin Sellner, the Austrian chapter of the Antifa terrorist organization showed up to disrupt the rally and later destroy the candlelight memorial created for Kirk and Zarutska. On Friday, the American embassy was the target of attacks and vandalism during commemorative events marking the cowardly murder of the U.S. citizen Charlie Kirk. Candles and bouquets were destroyed, leaving a scene of devastation. This is the left. This is what they do. Even more serious is that all this happened without intervention by the authorities, said Freedom Party of Austria FPO General Secretary Christian Hafnecker. When a political motivated murder like that of Charlie Kirk deeply shocks the United States, and as a direct result, violence is perpetrated against memorial candles and flowers in front of the embassy in Austria, then the alarm bell should be ringing, Hafnecker said. An unexpectedly large crowd gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria, South Africa, for a spontaneous Charlie Kirk vigil on Thursday. The mourners laid flowers, candles, and handwritten notes at the embassy gates. The tribute does not appear to have been coordinated or arranged in advance. It is spontaneous, just happened. International media organizations didn't rush to provide photo or video coverage of these rallies. Of course they wouldn't. Some outlets, like the UK Independent, reporting on the massive London rally, struggled to minimize the size of the events by claiming hundreds attended and avoiding wide-angle camera shots would reveal the two true sides of the vigil. Tommy Robinson called certain British media out for giving absurdly low estimates of the crowd size of the London rally when the truth was obvious to everyone who simply looked down from London above. There were some rallies here locally in Southern California this weekend. Three of the churches I spent most of my time speaking at before I had my heart attack 4 years ago and I stopped traveling and speaking were churches that constantly had Charlie as a guest speaker. So Charlie spoke at these churches. They all got to know him, the pastors. They had the, excuse me, the highest regards for him. He was just a wonderful young man, had great crowds turning out. So here it hit especially hard because they felt like, and when they did, they know him because he was there all the time, mingling with the people, talking with the leadership, and right here in this particular area. And so there were some huge, huge rallies. In Huntington Beach, California, San Clemente, California, and other places for Charlie. And there were prayer vigils, there were times of worship. And the reason this happened is because I think there's a couple reasons. Number one, people knew Charlie's heart, what a wonderful man he was, what an impact he was having on America with his Christian values and what he was saying. But also, too, he didn't care about the all the conflict that came his way. People would lie about him. They would say things that would, run his name into the ground. And yet he kept talking with him. He kept loving him, and he kept, dialoguing with him, engaging them. And that's what we should do. And hopefully, this will all bring out so many more people to do the same sort of thing, to engage people, to love them for the cause of Jesus Christ, to stand up for what we believe, because so many people are saying, this is it. I've had it. I'm sick of being put down and not allowed to speak or told to shut up. It's time we speak up. And I thank God we're seeing people do that right now. And we trust this will continue on for a very long time. So these vigils are something that is extraordinary. They're wonderful. And I really thank God for them. All right, we got two stories now about the evidence in the assassination. This is from Breitbart. The FBI is looking into individuals who appear to know about Charlie's assassination ahead of time. Um, this is the Washington Free Beacon. This comes from this outlet. It confirmed the investigation with individuals familiar with it, obtained numerous screenshots from individuals who appeared to signal that something big was going to happen the day Kirk was assassinated. In other words, they knew about it ahead of time. One of these warnings came a month ahead of the event, and some of the posts actually listed the exact date weeks in advance. Now, that's something else, isn't it? Further, the Free Beacon reported that several of the accounts appeared to belong to transgender individuals, and at least one followed Taylor Robinson's, the shooter's transgender roommate. For example, in one social media post dated September 3rd, that'd be a week before the attack, an X account user wrote, "It'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th. Then they did an LMAO. We won't have to tell you what that means. Uh, on August 6th, over a month before, an ex-user predicted that September 10th will be a very interesting day. After the murder, the user wrote, 'I plead the 5th.' The Free Beacon noted the morbid quip was reposted by an account, Churbum75M, saw Tyler June 30th, who appears to follow Robinson's roommate Lance Twiggs on TikTok, where Twiggs' username is Lancloaked. Free Beacon also flagged a TikTok post that came out the day before the shooting, in which an individual, likely transgender based on appearance, wrote, "Charles James Kirk, Mr. College dropout, does not know coming tomorrow. Be ready. This isn't a threat, it's a promise." Further, according to the article, there seems to be a common theme among many of these users. The Free Beacon explained several of the accounts under investigation appear to be associated with LGBT subcultures. And so that's where the evidence is so far. And so it seems from these, screenshots that a number of people knew what was going to happen. This is a conspiracy and an evil conspiracy. And now it's unraveling. And we hope those that were involved with that, those that knew about it ahead of time, will be charged as accessories before the fact. and do some serious prison time, as they should, because they knew a murder was coming. They could have prevented it, but they decided not to. So this is interesting news. Now, another great story here that we're getting more evidence. Kash Patel confirms the DNA evidence. There's a match in the Kirk assassination, and he reveals some details of notes in the Epoch Times. He says the suspect wrote that he had the opportunity to take out Kirk and was going to do it. So that's something the suspect wrote. So they're talking about a damning evidence, a smoking gun, as it were. DNA evidence matching that of Charlie Kirk's suspected killer was found at the crime scene. FBI Director Kash Patel said today, Monday, Tyler Robinson, the murderer who was arrested for the assassination of conservative influencer at Utah Valley University, also left a note indicating that he expressed he had an opportunity to kill Kirk, Patel said. In a September 15th interview with Fox News, Patel said, I can report today that the DNA evidence from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody. So again, 100% match. He also referred to reports of the alleged note left behind by Robinson, saying that the suspect wrote that he had the opportunity to take out Kirk, and he wrote, I'm going to take it. That message was written before the September 10th shooting. So this is obviously murder one premeditated. Touching on possible ideological based motive, Patel said Robinson's family said that he subscribed to left-wing ideology, echoing a statement made by Utah Governor Spencer Cox during several Sunday interviews about the suspect's viewpoint. Yes, he was tremendously influenced by that. His family's very strong Republican, conservative. He rejected that. He got involved with literally the wrong crowd, and as so many do, go on the campus with the woke spirit of the age, and that hating traditional values, hating what's right, and going on to this alternative lifestyle, it seems. And so, again, this is further evidence that they got the right guy. And seemingly, there's more people to be nabbed in this horrific event. So we'll keep you posted on all of this. And finally, I love this headline. Employees fired, suspended for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. This is from the Epoch Times. Airline pilots, educators, and retail workers have been fired or suspended while users continue to flag offending posts on social media. Companies across the United States have issued warnings to employees that they won't have a job to go back to on Monday if they post comments on celebrating or mocking the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. The affected professions range from teachers to airline pilots. One of the more prominent early cases was the firing of MSNBC analysts on September 11th, the day after Kirk was fatally shot at Utah University. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy on September 13th said multiple pilots employed by American Airlines have been immediately grounded and removed from service, and Delta Airlines employees have also been suspended pending investigation. This behavior is disgusting and they should be fired, Duffy wrote on X in response to the American Airlines news. Any company responsible for the safety of the traveling public cannot tolerate this behavior. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Giuliani confirmed in an email to the Epoch Times on September 12th that the service was made aware of comments made by one of its agents and placed that agent on leave. The United States Secret Service will not tolerate behavior that violates our code of conduct, he said. In fact, this agent wrote on Facebook following Kirk's murder, if you are mourning this guy, delete me. He spewed hate and racism on his show. And of course, he did nothing of the sort if you ever listened to him. The person later added, at the end of the day, you answer to God and speak things into existence. You can only circumvent karma. She doesn't leave. Whatever in the world that means. Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican from Tennessee, wrote to the Secret Service Director Sean Curran on September 11th, calling for this person's termination. Your employees celebrated and attempted to justify a political assassination, Blackburn wrote. This conduct is inexcusable, and I urge you in the strongest possible terms to immediately terminate his employment. And investigations have also begun in members of the military and Homeland Security agencies, including the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy. It is unacceptable for military personnel and the Department of War civilians to celebrate or mock the assassination of a fellow American, spokesman Sean Parnell wrote on X. The Department of War has zero tolerance for it, as they should. So this is wonderful seeing this take place, that people who come out with these vile comments that that bother, of course, all of us, are getting what they should get. Should get fired, should get terminated from their job, and they should be rebuked publicly for doing something like this. So anyway, that's the latest. There's much going on, and Again, we talk about this story because of its importance, because we trust from this. Many young people will stand up and decide, look, I'm going to be like Charlie Kirk. I'm going to be counted to speak out. I'm going to speak out the truth about the gospel of Christ. I don't care what the response will be. I don't care what the fallout will be. We've got to speak the truth. For too long, we've been told to shut up, sit in the back of the bus and not keep our mouths shut. And we can't do that. We've got to tell the truth, like the Apostle Peter and Apostle John said when they were told not to speak for Jesus. Said, we got to obey God rather than you. We're not going to shut up. We're going to talk about what we know is true. And Christians for the last 2,000 years have done it, and they continue to do it today. So we thank God again for people standing up now. And we've been praying for something like this to happen, not for Charlie's death, of course, but for an excitement and just an enthusiasm and a calling that people would feel on their lives to really be that salt and light that Jesus wanted us to be. Anyway, that's the latest. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.